A sleek black terminal, a toolkit of hundreds of apps, and one rule: only test what you own. If you've ever watched a cybersecurity demo, you've probably seen a black terminal sprint across a screen. That desktop often runs Kali Linux, a Debian-based distribution packed with security tools. Kali is maintained by Offensive Security, the team behind professional labs and certifications. It saves time by delivering a predictable environment for testing, training, and forensics. In the next section, we'll define Kali precisely and explain why that predictability matters. So stay with me. So what is Kali, really? At its core, it's a Debian distribution configured for security work. Think of it as a pre-built lab bench. The operating system is polished, and the tools are arranged for quick access. Kali provides images for virtual machines, ARM devices, live boot, cloud, and WSL. That variety lets students and pros run the same toolkit in different contexts. Up next, why that curated toolset makes a real difference in a pen test workflow. Why do security professionals swear by Kali? First, the tools are curated and packaged, so you don't waste hours compiling or fixing dependencies. Second, the distro mirrors real pen testing workflows, meta packages, sane defaults, and common shells. Third, frequent updates keep tools current. That means fewer surprises during tests and repeatable lab results. But which categories of tools actually matter day to day? Let's break the toolbox into practical buckets you'll use first. Start with network discovery and mapping. Tools like Nmap and MassScan find live hosts and open ports. Imagine mapping a dark building with a flashlight. These tools sweep the network, detect doors and windows, and tell you where to look next. That early map shapes the entire test. After mapping comes enumeration, digging into services and versions, and we'll cover that workflow soon, including the little traps that generate misleading results. Vulnerability scanners like OpenVAS and Nikto flag known weaknesses fast. They're efficient but noisy. Imagine a metal detector that beeps at anything metallic. Some beeps are valuable, others are false positives. A skilled tester validates scanner output manually to avoid chasing ghosts. Scanners accelerate discovery, but manual checks and context turn results into meaningful findings. Coming up, web application testing tools and a simple mindset that prevents common mistakes. Web testing tools are a core reason people choose Kali. Burp Suite, FUF, and WP Scan let you explore web inputs, enumerate resources, and find OWASP top 10 issues like injection or broken off. Think of a website as a locked house. Web tools probe windows, doors, and mail slots to find weak points. Start with mapping endpoints, then test carefully in a controlled lab. In the next scene, we'll touch on exploit frameworks and a strict permission-only rule. Exploit frameworks like Metasploit let you validate whether a weakness is actually exploitable. They automate payload delivery and give a repeatable proof of concept. But here's the non-negotiable rule. Only use exploits on systems you own or have explicit written permission to test. Misuse is illegal and unethical. In a lab, exploitation teaches impact assessment. In the real world, it must be tightly scoped. Next, password auditing and why GPU power matters. Password auditing tools like John the Ripper and Hashcat measure credential strength. They simulate attacks to show whether policies hold up. Hashcat can use GPUs to crack hashes at blistering speeds. That's powerful for defenders validating controls and dangerous when misused. Always hash and handle credentials in a lab only, not live production. Coming up, wireless tools, why Wi-Fi testing works differently, and what hardware you need. Wireless testing with Aircrack NG and similar suites requires special radios and drivers. Wi-Fi attacks are lower level and often need a dedicated adapter or bare metal Kali. Think of wireless like tuning a radio. Signal strength, channels, and interference matter. That's why many testers run Kali on dedicated hardware or in a lab with controlled access points. Next, we'll look at reverse engineering and malware analysis tools and when to use them safely. Reverse engineering and malware analysis tools like Ghidra and RODAIR2 let you peek inside binaries. Analysts use them to understand how a program behaves and whether it's malicious. This work needs isolated environments, snapshots, and strict data handling to avoid accidental spread. Reverse engineering teaches you attacker techniques and aids incident response. Next, we'll cover digital forensics tools and how they help reconstruct timelines after an incident. Digital forensics tools like Autopsy and Sleuthkit help investigators extract evidence from disks and timelines. Imagine reconstructing a shredded document. Forensics pieces together file activity, logs, and artifacts to tell a story. These tools assist incident responders and legal teams, so strict chain of custody practices matter. For learning, use captured images and virtual disks in isolated labs. Up next, OSINT tools and ethical reconnaissance, how public data becomes useful intelligence. OSINT tools Maltego, the Harvester, help you gather public information for recon. They compile domain records, social profiles, and metadata into actionable leads. Think of OSINT as legal scouting. You observe what's publicly visible before you ever touch a system. Responsible recon informs scope and reduces wasted time. Next, we'll map typical user personas who run Kali and why their goals differ so you can pick the right learning path. Kali's industry status comes from consistency, documentation, and community. You can tell a teammate, run it on Kali, and now understand the environment. Official docs, forums, and courses reduce onboarding time. Certifications often assume Kali familiarity, which standardizes training outcomes. That shared baseline speeds incident response and lab lessons, but Kali isn't always the right tool, and next, we'll explain when another OS might fit better. When might Kali not be the best fit? If you want a daily driver, choose Ubuntu or another desktop-first OS. If you prefer building from scratch, add security tools to Debian. For Arch lovers, Black Arch offers a different package model. Windows shops often use WSL or native Windows tools. The right choice depends on comfort, goals, and hardware. Up next, a realistic pen test workflow you can practice safely in a lab. A realistic pen test workflow follows 6 steps: recon, enumeration, vulnerability assessment, controlled exploitation, post-exploitation analysis, and reporting. Start wide with discovery, narrow to specific services, validate findings manually, and only exploit lab targets. Post-exploitation measures impact. Then you produce a clear report with remediation. The tools are secondary. Judgment and ethics are the real skills. Next, I'll walk you through safe ways to get started building your first Kali lab. Build a personal lab using a VM manager like VirtualBox or VMware Workstation Player. VMs let you snapshot, restore, and isolate experiments. Use NAT networking to keep the lab separated from your home LAN. Download Kali from the official site and verify checksums and signatures to avoid tampered images. These steps protect you and your host. Next, safe targets to practice on and platforms that provide pre-built vulnerable machines. Practice on intentionally vulnerable targets: Metasploitable 2, OWASP Juice Shop, DVWA, and VulnHub Images. Guided platforms like TryHackMe and HackTheBox provide structured labs and legal scopes. These environments let you test exploits and document findings without risk. Treat each lab like a real engagement. Define scope, objectives, and cleanup steps. In the next scene, we'll cover a beginner-friendly learning path to build useful skills methodically. Begin with foundations, networking basics, Linux command line, and how HTTP and DNS work. Phase 2 focuses on tool categories. Start with recon and web testing. Phase 3 is safe practice in labs. Phase 4 builds mindset and reporting skills, mapping findings to OWASP or MITRE ATT&CK. Phase 5 polishes scoping and stakeholder communication. Follow this path and employers will notice practical ability, not just tool knowledge. Next, pro tips that accelerate real progress. Pro tips: start small and go deep. Master one category before expanding. Use meta packages to install focused toolsets. Keep Kali updated so tools reflect real threats. Snapshot VMs before risky experiments. Document your lab setup and findings in a playbook. Map discoveries to MITRE ATT&CK to show impact. Invest in networking and scripting fundamentals. They pay off far more than button pushing. Next, a clear checklist to follow before you run any test. Before any test, Follow a simple checklist. Verify authorization in writing. Confirm scope and dates. Backup targets or use disposable images. Snapshot your VM and set monitoring. Never cross boundaries, never collect unnecessary data, and only perform destructive actions if explicitly permitted. These rules protect you legally and ethically. Up next, we'll debunk common myths about Kali that often scare beginners away. Common FAQs. Is Kali legal? Yes. Use is legal. Unauthorized access is not. Is Kali good for beginners? Yes, with safe labs and guided platforms. Do you need to code? Not initially, but scripting helps. Can Kali be your daily OS? You can, but it's optimized for testing, not daily productivity. How much RAM do you need? For learning, 4 to 8 gigabytes is comfortable. If you want GPU horsepower for cracking, add more. Next, we'll wrap with a final checklist and call to action. Final checklist to act on today. Download Kali from the official site, verify its checksum, spin up a VM, load a vulnerable target like Juice Shop, and take snapshots before testing. Keep a lab playbook and document each experiment. If you're ever unsure about legality, stop and get written permission. These steps build safe habits and real skills. Now go set up that lab and practice the fundamentals. Your first lessons are waiting. Quick recap. Kali is a purpose-built Debian distro with curated tools for discovery, testing, forensics, and research. Use VMs for safety, practice on intentionally vulnerable targets, follow strict authorization rules, and document everything. Tools speed work, but judgment and ethics create value. If you follow the learning path and pro tips we covered, you'll build practical skills employers respect. Ready to dive deeper into any single tool or workflow? Tell me which one, and I'll make a follow-up guide. One last thought. Tools are amplifiers. Kali hands you a well-stocked toolkit, but it can't teach curiosity or ethics. Spend practice time reading logs, explaining results to a non-technical person, and writing concise reports. Those communication skills turn technical tests into business value. If you want a practical next step, set up one lab, run an Nmap scan, document the results, and tell someone what you learned. That small habit compounds fast. If this helped, like the video, subscribe for follow-up deep dives, and comment which Kali tool or workflow you want a step-by-step guide for.